Chapter 1. My name is still Claire. That much is the same, although no one calls me Claire anymore. No one calls me anything anymore. I died when I was 13 and came back as a cat. A stray cat in a strange place very far from home. One moment I was walking out of my middle school in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Then there was a period of darkness, like being asleep. When I woke up, I was in Bethlehem, the real one, and I was a cat. I don't know if it was an accident, like some sort of cosmic wires getting crossed, or if God is playing a joke on me, or if this is all a nightmare and I'm really in a coma back in St. Luke's Hospital. Nobody's told me anything, but I went to Sunday school for as long as my grandmother was alive, and I never heard anything like this in all their tales of heaven and hell. Something happened a few days ago. I can't stop thinking about it, and I'm not used to thinking very much about things. It started off with me sitting on the big wall. This wall looks a little like the ones that go beside freeways to cut down the noise and to keep people and idiots out of traffic, although the wall here is bigger and runs through neighborhoods. There are guard towers here and there, and in some places the wall is shorter, but has more barbed wire on top. I spend a lot of time sitting on top of that wall. I like to look down on people. From the top, I can look down on people on both sides. They don't do anything all that interesting, but it helps to kill time. A cat without television. As a cat without television, I have a lot of time to kill. The other night, I was on the edge of the village, not far from Bethlehem City. The night was one of the dark ones. No moon, stars, not much help. The darkness was no problem for one side of the wall, where lights shone bright in the windows. On the other side of the wall, it was all dark. The power over there was not working. The only lights shining on that side were the spotlights from the watchtowers, and they mostly shone down on the wall. They made the graffiti bright, but everything else looked darker. I was sitting on the wall, after getting away from a bit of a mess that had happened on the ground a couple hours before. I was getting hungry, and dropped to the dark side of the wall to find something to eat. The darkness didn't bother me. Since I became a cat, my eyes see better in the dark than they did when I was a girl. My nose works better too, which is not always a good thing. The world is a smelly place. I went looking for something to eat in the long stretch of weeds that runs along the wall. I've been a cat for a while, maybe a year, but I'm still not any good at catching mice, and I stay far away from the rats. That leaves handouts, garbage, and whatever I'm fast enough to steal. The weeds were full of garbage. Bags and bags of it, most of it torn open. I went up to each one and sniffed it, hoping to find a bit of kebab or chicken. I wasn't coming up with much, just whiffs of what once had been there. Any food had already been eaten by the other cats. Greedy cats. They never leave me anything. There were cats all through these weeds that night, hiding among the trash and bedded down in the tall grass. Their smells were all parts of the general stink I had to sort through. I didn't realize I was into King Tom's territory until I saw his giant head loom up from behind a clump of clover. The spotlight from the tower made a halo around his ears. I froze. He froze. We stared at each other, still as statues. For a second, I hoped that he might let me pass. After all, I'm very scrawny, no threat to him at all. Attacking me would not be very much of an accomplishment. I even thought he might take pity on me. But there was a hiss and a yowl, and then I started to run. He came after me. I ran faster. He was bigger, but I was scared, and I ran, and I kept running. Our running disturbed the other cats. I stepped right on top of some of them. Others were hit by boards or tin cans I knocked over as I ran. They joined in the chase, and soon I had a whole pack of cats running after me. I don't know what they would have done if they would have caught me. They probably didn't know either. Cats aren't great planners. I don't think they would have killed me, but they could have hurt me pretty bad, teeth and claws being what they are. There were lots of cats around with one ear or no tail or missing an eye. If I got injured, who would take care of me? Nobody. I'd be in pain and all alone, so I kept running. I swerved suddenly off the grass and down a narrow street into the village. Cats kept chasing me. We ran around corners and over the tops of cars. I scrambled up to the flat roof of one of the little houses and was able to pause for breath before the pack found me again. Run, run, run. Up one hill and down another. It's all hills in that area. I prayed that the cats who were chasing me would get bored and stop, but they didn't. At the top of one hill, not quite as high as some of the others, I saw a little house. It stood beside a vacant lot full of rocks, weeds, and more garbage. 2 soldiers in full battle gear were at the door, trying to get in. They were being quiet about it, no shouting or banging like soldiers sometimes do, just pushing and shoving. The door wasn't budging. I ran toward them, thinking they might give me some sort of protection. The gang of cats was getting closer. I was getting really tired. The soldiers pushed at the door. It would not open. The cat behind me yowled. It was right at my heels. and the soldiers in the doorway still seemed very far away. I was on the edge of giving up and letting the cats get me. After all, I'd already died once. The first death turned me into a cat. The next one might turn me back into a girl. But I put out one final burst of energy. At the same moment, the soldiers gave the door a great push. The door opened. In the breath of a second, I dashed through the soldiers' legs and scooted into the dark, low space under a sofa. I heard the soldiers enter the house and close the door behind them. I was safe.